I just got a COVID test back behind me in this giant parking garage. My appointment was at 6:10. They came in right before. There was staff of maybe 3 max. And it's a really streamlined system. I was able to go in and come out. My results should come back in about 3 hours. My flight leaves tomorrow at 7 a.m. And so this is a little bit late, in my opinion. I probably should have gotten this tomorrow. But we'll see, and I'll be back in the US, and I'll be able to tell the rest of the stories then. Yesterday, I had jumped into a car hitchhiking to San Jose. Today, the driver of that car is taking me and a friend on a 12-kilometer tour into the rainforest to see some waterfalls. So I'm going into the jungle with expensive equipment and no cell service with a stranger in a foreign country on a path through private property. What can go wrong, right? We've traveled for about an hour to get way up here on these dirt and rocky roads, and we're going to be experiencing the real rainforest and the real nature that a lot of tourists aren't able to see. Behind me is the path that we're going to start taking down, and we're going to be going by some rivers. We're going to be able to see some things, but right behind me, as you can tell, it's really cloudy, and that's because this is a cloud forest. And so there's a lot of humidity in the air, and hopefully it won't fog up the lens, and we'll be able to show everything. So this is Borrelia, if I'm saying it correctly, and in the States this is like a $45 plant, and if you were to buy it for decoration, notice that it's got no roots because it sits right on the tree and it's an air plant. So all the water gets on it, and that's where it gets all of its nutrients. This one was found on the ground, and it's pretty cool. About 3 kilometers of this trek is by road, as the car can't get to the path to start the hike. We stopped at a local's house. This 8-hour tour ended up being only $40 per person, and it had lunch included, which is what we got here. This wasn't an easy hike. With my 5-pound camera gear, 15-pound backpack, and mud at every turn, this is a rare adventure into the rainforest that I only got because of hitchhiking. That makes my bad decisions okay, right? Sadly, I totally missed a shot of me swinging through the forest on jungle vines like Tarzan. That was super cool. Alright. Well, it won't be the end of the world if I have to go back another time to get that one. By the end of this hike, we will go over 10 miles, but the spot we were hiking to was right around the corner. This water was freezing, but I decided I was going to jump in after walking all this way. It's fed by volcanic canyons, which gives it that orangish coloring. We opened up this amazing meal while sitting there: rice, beans, plantains, and egg. It's one of those simple foods with amazing flavors that I'll remember forever. He said to leave my camera here, and we were going to another waterfall. This one we had to swim to. It looked straight out of a Disney park. I couldn't take my camera, but the view from the swim through here was incredible. The trek back was cool, and we ended up stopping at a trailhead location and then at a rainforest farm. These cows are milked by hand by this old farmer, and he has a ton of pigs and piglets. This whole area produces much of Costa Rica's milk, and after being near the coast, it was really cool to be able to see farms and the agricultural side of the country. Pablo was a super cool guy, and I'd highly suggest you get a tour with him if you want to experience nature.
Is doing this, okay, rolling itself, but also
this was my last full day in Costa Rica, and as I got in the car to return to my hostel, I was tired and happy for how it turned out. I was up at 5 a.m. this morning to get on the plane. My COVID test came back negative in time, but I was a little worried as I technically had overstayed my visa and was expected to be fined and questioned. Happily, there was no issue, and I made it back to the US with no problem. Anybody else worried about facial recognition? No? Just me? Okay. Alright, I've been in the States for 7 days now. I'm up here in Vermont. I'm going to go get my COVID test now. That should be back in a couple days for the results. Hopefully they'll be negative, and that'll be the end of my journey. My test is negative, and I'm excited to tell a lot of these stories in person to you. If you're wondering why I did this, well, it's been a major goal of mine to tell stories behind the fair industry that I'm in. And this was my last real-life practice before I launch a YouTube channel. Please let me know what you liked in the comments, as that really encourages me. Interested in how much this trip cost? Well, wait for the next video in a couple days.